Listen, I'm easy to find. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.
Yeah, buddy. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 24, season 6 of Big Name Sports Talk podcast. And yes, as you see the title, this is the WNBA mock draft 3.0. This is the last draft before this upcoming Monday for the 2022 WNBA draft. Before we get into the video, there is a few things I want to say up front. I want to give a shout out to Sean Spencer. Thank you for last night as he joined me and breaking down the national championship game, North Carolina versus the Kansas Jayhawks. If you didn't see the video already, University of Maryland basketball women's basketball team lost lost a few good players. Mimi Collins, for education reasons, she did not get accepted into the graduate program at Maryland. Therefore, she's put herself in the transfer portal. There are over 1,000 young women for the women's basketball in the transfer portal.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming, or act like I know this was coming, because I did it.
So I'm curious to see what Brenda is going to do with the transfer portal. I wish, again, Ashley, Angel, Tazla, Shanice, Mimi, I wish them all the best wherever they may choose, the school they choose, and continue success. Diamond Miller will be out for 3 to 6 months. She's getting surgery on her knee, so I pray for a speedy recovery and get well soon, Diamond. But I mean, just really quick with the Maryland teams, she's all this is going to happen. Unfortunately, there's got to be a balance. We will talk about that in a future episode, but there needs to be a balance. Now, I mean, I'm gonna save that. That is another subject for another video, ladies and gentlemen. But the last two videos for season 6 are the Baltimore Orioles and the Washington Nationals, as tomorrow is opening day. Wrapping up spring training for the Orioles and Nationals. So definitely those are the last 2 episodes for season 6. Season 7 starts off opening day. As already stated, we have some things coming down the pipe. NFL mock draft 2.0 with Sean Spencer. Be tuned in for that. We're going to get ready for the playoffs. Get a debrief of the regular season with the Wizards. Now we're going to the NBA playoffs. So it's going to be good. Start off a good season 7 of the podcast. But enough yip yak. Let's get into it. The WNBA mock draft 3.0. Up until today, my list, my first round picks, all were set, and then some things happened today. So, the Washington Mystics, they traded the number 1 overall pick to the Atlanta Dream in exchange for the number 3 overall pick and the 14th overall pick.
I'm not going to even sit here and act like I didn't know this was coming, or act like I know this was coming, because I did it.
Now, I should have brought the clip up. Actually, let me do that for you really quick, because I want to show you guys. About 3 weeks ago, on a podcast that I did, I randomly in the video I said, let me find it really quick. Season 9, okay, episode 9. Excuse me. Episode 9. Where is it? I'm trying to find it. No, damn it. Okay, but I do have the clip. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I was trying to find the clip of it. I should have timestamped it, but I will leave the clip in the description if I remember to do it. I said it was like along the lines of, I just had this weird feeling. I'll leave the link in the episode when I find the timestamp. But it was kind of weird. I'm sitting there going like, he's going to somehow trade that pick because he was just too quiet. And for some unknown reason, like up until today, I'm thinking like, okay. I'm thinking like maybe he traded somebody, but number one overall pick. So I had to redo the mock draft for the first round. And I'll be honest, there are some strong considerations for other players. I did consider Christina Williams, Lexi Hall, Jasmine Dickey. I considered them first round picks, but I was looking at need. And for the Mystics and the Dream, honestly, I think this was a win-win for both teams. Honestly, because if you look at it, the Mystics going forward, the identity needs to be redefined. Remember, he said in an excellent interview, we're not rebuilding, but we need to reset how we go about things. Now, I think him trading down, because he also got the rights to swap the 2023 first round pick and the first round pick of the Dream and the 2023 first round pick from the Sparks. Now, I'm just keeping it realistic. He got extra draft capital, and Mike's thinking about the next few years. Let's just be honest. Atlanta Deladon's not getting any younger. I mean, there are reports she's playing 3v3, but let's keep it real. Ever since the bubble, there is no true identity. Yeah, you can say Tina Charles last year, but last year it was Tina Charles and friends. Tina Charles was practically led the team, was the scoring champion last year. Not a knock on Tina, but the team only won 12 games. It didn't make the playoffs. I think it's a win-win for both teams, but also too it also gives me, again, because something I'm just Coach T's thinking, his thought process as a GM is weird. Because if you remember, when he first came as head coach and GM for the Mystics, he had missed out on getting the big three to seed. At the time, it was Deladon, Skylar Diggins, and Brittany Griner. He got Taylor Hill with that pick, which was not a bad pick, but unfortunately, injuries, and we all know the whole story. You know, she got traded to Dallas, and that was in the Taylor Hill era here in DC. But with the Mystics and the Dream, you're still in the top three to get whoever. Now, where is it? The Atlanta Dream. All right, let's get into it. So, this is it. This is my mock draft. This is who I think are going to be the 12 picks for the first round. This was tough. I also took in consideration that the Los Angeles Sparks, they got not too long ago Lexi Brown in the trade. So that was kind of that kind of muddied the water a little bit of who I could take at that pick, as I misspelled Kirsten's first name, excuse me. So with the number 1 overall pick in the 2022 WNBA draft, the Atlanta Dream select Alissa Smith. It's a no-brainer. To me, I think she is the number 1 overall pick. My only concern with Alissa, I mean, again, she's good as a stat stuffer. She's a solid athlete, great mid-range. I love her positioning, particularly when it comes to rebounding, and she can play some defense. Play a tank, she can slow down wing players. She's quick on her feet laterally. I like that. Now, the only thing that I still think has to be worked on is just her mechanics. I've said that the last 2 mock drafts. It's just her mechanics just have to get better. Now, again, Atlanta, they're also too building for the future. Now, a lot of people were saying this should be Shakira Austin. But Alissa Smith out of Baylor University makes the most sense. So I'm comfortable with that. Now, with the 2nd overall pick, the Indiana Fever select Ryan Howard out of Kentucky. Now, regardless, a lot of people are going to. I've heard on Twitter and heard on some Reds articles that this is going to come back and hurt Mike. And when, but realistically, I don't think he needs wing players. I think he needs a power forward and a center. Now, Ryan, she's a score first guard. She can draw fouls at a good rate. I like that she has a good frame, versatile on defense. She can pretty much guard the 2, 3, and the 4. And then also too, she's also a low key. She's an underrated, good defender. I think also too, she has a good eye to dish the ball out, which is good. Now, same thing with Alissa. I think just being more a consistent jump shot, whether it's for shooting threes or just a mid range, it just consistency. We need to develop that jump shot. That's about it. Now, with a number 3 overall pick, the Washington Mystics select Shakira Austin out of the University of Ole Miss. This was a no-brainer. I think it makes sense. Now, I know what you're going to say. Oh, my gosh. She's not the face of a franchise, blah, 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 blah. We missed out on getting Ryan Howard on Alissa Smith. A lot of people are not trusting their eyes and watching the games. Shakira is a good rim protector. I think she's the most. I think the games that I saw this year, in which she was at Maryland, she's really comfortable, particularly at Midwest. She wants to be a jump shooter. Whether it's off screens, high post, a drop scheme, and the way she also too on the defense whether it's the offensive side, the defensive side of the ball, blocks and rebounds. I think that's is what he's looking for, because let's keep it real. Coach T, he prides himself on defense. Now, again, I had to think like Mike, because think about it. We've said it really since 2020. Okay. Latoya Saunders retired. Crystal Thomas retired. And this is no lack on her, but he brought in Alana Coates, to my personal opinion, a little too late. and didn't really let her find her niche with the team. Because we said they need a center. And I believe she was a good pickup. I just feel like there was a lack of, the rotation was poor. And also, too, I kind of blame chemistry. I think didn't really get a full opportunity to like really see like, okay, this is where this is where we could work with. Now, the only thing with Shakira, I know this is going to be a thing. Her outside shot is still in development. You can say what you want about her free throw shooting. It'll get better. I definitely think come crunch time, that's something that will come with player development, but also to coaching. Now, her numbers, her first 2 years at Maryland, and then up until this year, last year, everyone's saying, well, she doesn't stand out offensively. Well, look what she had to work with at Ole Miss last year, and then this year she kind of got some talent around her. But last year she was practically the go-to person. So I think this is a good pick because also too, let's keep it real, y'all. He sees next year, this 2023 draft class after this class. I said these next two classes, and maybe actually this class, next year's class, and the 2024 class, they make up for last year's draft class. Guaranteed. That's just my opinion. Because, and I remember Mike saying it, there was just role players. There was nobody that could change the franchise. And no disrespect to those last year's draft class, but it was a very disappointing draft class in some way. I mean, let's just keep it real. Like, I'm leaving that alone. But I do want to quote, and shout out to Kareem Copeland for the Washington Post. He talked about with Coach T. This was what Coach T said, and I quote, "We feel this trade gives us the opportunity to have more options both in the 2022 and 2023 drafts. We are very comfortable with all three players that we have ranked as the possible top 3 picks in the draft. Whatever player comes to us will add depth of this year's team and will have a chance to grow into a very important role in the next few years. We didn't have any other picks in this draft, and now we have the 14th pick to find a very good young player that can be a part of our future. I'm very excited for the draft on Monday night, and our fans should be excited too." Hey, listen, you know what he's basically saying? He sees it. He's being realistic. This team, I have to build it for the next 3-5 years. I can't go back. I can't run it back like it's 2019. I can't do that. I can do that if I know what Atlantic Deladon look. If I have a healthy Atlantic Deladon. I'm not saying we need to get rid of her. I'm not saying she's washed. I in no way, shape, or form am I saying that. But we have to think for the future. We have to think they're not getting any younger. Now, with the 14th pick, they got some choices. If you pushed me, Destiny Henderson, Washington Mystics. Guaranteed. For the 14th pick. They need a point guard behind Tosh. I don't know too much about the guards that he signed. Rory Hashimura, other than what I saw in the Olympics, and then the other shooting guard that they have. I cannot pronounce her name. I apologize, but I don't really see. And then Kiara Lundquist, I don't see it with them. But I think it was a good trade, and I'm not mad at Mike. I'm really not. So I'm excited for Monday for the 3rd overall pick. I'm comfortable with Alissa Smith, Ryan Howard, and Shakira Austin as the top 3 picks for the 2022 WNBA draft. Guaranteed. Now, with the 4th overall pick, the Indiana Fever, this was another one. I was looking, some mock drafts had this young lady and going in the 2nd round. But I trust my eyes. And with the 4th overall pick, the Indiana Fever select Miss Naz Hillman. Look, it's facing her in the Big Ten. I think what I've stand by what I'm saying. I think she is the pick for the team. She's obviously a post first player. Great feet work. She can pass the ball. Her decision making when it's helping to assist with a double team. Times I saw her. We played Maryland. She plays hard basketball, and she was. Let's be honest. That Michigan team, ladies and gentlemen, she was the number one option on that team. Okay, and I just think Indiana should. And again, they pride themselves a little bit on defense too. Now, obviously, Tiara McCallum was also too a rim protector. This is somebody that they can replace her with. I think this makes the most sense. Now, I see her really just being a post player. I don't see her like she could probably develop a little mid-range game, but I mean, yeah, her size, she may be undersized for the position, but I think she can hold her own. I really do. But I mean, there were a lot of mock drafts. Some had her going in the top 4, then the top 10. Some even had her going in the second round because of the recent performance of March Madness. But I think this is a good pick for Indiana, getting that Naz. And again, I do think that even though people have said she's an effective, not a good offensive threat, I do believe as time progresses, it will get better. It will. Now, with the next draft pick, with the 5th overall pick, this was actually interesting. I considered a few things. Again, I did take into consideration that what each position for the New York Liberty they needs and wants. And they kind of already had a stacked team. They did get Steffi Dolson, but I said with the 5th overall pick, the New York Liberty select Miss Alissa Cooney out of NC State. Obviously, the way she played in March Madness, decision maker. Love her offense, her interior play. She can definitely create problems on defensive mismatches. She's an offensive-minded forward. I think arguably in this class, I think particularly for post players, she's the best shooter. Now, the only thing is that I will kind of say negatively that I think will get better is that she's not. Well, for example, right? If I have Kelsey Mitchell, random 2 plays. If I had Kelsey Mitchell and Tiana Hawkins, okay, on a pick and roll. Actually, let me take Tiana out. Let me use Asia Wilson. Kelsey Mitchell and Asia Wilson, right? If I have those 2 running pick and roll on Alissa is not the most fastest person getting to a pick and roll. I do think that she's not as physical, and I do believe with development and time, because let's just keep it real. I mean, everybody can't come into whether it's the NBA, football, WNBA, don't matter. Everyone's going to need at least 2 years to reach their full potential and growth in the game. And I believe Alissa can do that. A lot of people are saying she's not built, she's not physical enough, she's not mentally strong enough. And I just think she's going to be on a good team first of all, because if New York takes her, she got Coach Bordero, and she got Steffi Dolson. You got Benijah Laney. You've got some girls that can mentor her and get her to realize her true potential. I do believe that. So I did also consider her as well as a late first round pick, but I'm looking at the Liberty, and I think this would make sense. Now, back to the Indiana Fever. Now, the Indiana Fever, they traded Tiana McCowan, so they got the 6th overall pick as well. So I said with the 6th overall pick, they could really use a point guard. And the first point guard that I took off the board, I'd say that I took off was Miss Nia Clouden. That speaks for itself. I already said that, we already know what she does on the defense side of the ball. She was the best, to me, arguably the best defender this year. Her ceiling, to me, other than maybe as of now, up until now of the national championship, I think arguably she might have the highest ceiling in this draft class, in my personal opinion. Now, that's not a knock on the other guards, but I'm saying to myself, well, Indiana does need a point guard, because let's keep it real. As much as I'm a fan of Kaiser Gondrezick. I thought her being picked with the number 4 overall pick, I thought that was completely mind-boggling on Tamika Catchings' part. It's bad. It's really bad when ESPN doesn't even have the highlights to even roll when you're drafted. Not saying she was a bad player. I'm not saying that, but to pick her with the 4th overall pick, that was a definite reach. Where's my clip?
So when are we going to say something about it? You know what? I'm going to walk away. I'll be right back because I'm scared I'm going to say something that might get me in trouble because I'm pissed. I'm pissed.
The reason why I'm still, it's not Kaiser. I just feel like she should have gotten the opportunity to prove herself this year with Indiana, but it kind of seemed like Coach Dunn pretty much said, no, we're going to just take these players out and we're going to do it my way. And I just feel like she cut Jantel Lavender, which
bullshit.
Tiara, I can, but I don't understand at the same time. And then Kaiser. Kaiser, again, let's keep it real. Coming out of West Virginia, I know people would say, well, all that, we're fortunate it happened, but you can be in front of a camera, smile, and all those different things like that, but you don't know what a person's going through. She did lose her father, and she took a time for herself to get herself mentally, to put herself first, to get herself together. Also too, let's keep it real. She didn't get a lot of time to really see what she could do with the Fever. We only played 13 games. You were playing less than 5 minutes. What do you expect? But I just think that they need to draft a point guard. No disrespect to Bria Hartley. I'm a fan of hers, but the biggest thing with Bria Hartley is the injuries. Now, back with Nia Colden. Good 3-point shooter. She can get to the free throw line. My only issue is that she, at Michigan State, was pretty much the main playmaker. And she can also, I call it, she doesn't have the blind sides on. The blind sides up. I think she just sees the basket and I'm just going to attack the rim. And that could really, and I think as you, again, coaching, I think that's coaching and kind of saying, yo, this is what I need you to be. Now, her size may be an issue, but I think that could actually be a benefit for her in the pros. I do. So keep that in mind. So let's go to Dallas. Dallas, they have the 7th overall pick, and out of respect, with the 7th overall pick, the Dallas Wings select Nayara Sabli out of Oregon. Yes, I picked it because I think it would be better for her to play. I think it'd be good that she play alongside her sister. And I did consider a couple teams for her to go to. I think I had her going to either Minnesota or Indiana. I'm trying to figure who else did I have her going to. New York. That's where I considered her going. But none of them, I didn't feel like they really, really benefited. I don't think she was a really good fit on those teams. Now, when you look at Nayara Sabli, the biggest thing people are going to bring up is her injury history. Yes, I understand she tore Achilles twice, and she didn't play her whole freshman year. I understand that, her freshman and sophomore year, if I remember correctly. I do think her jump shot will get better. Again, that's coach that getting her in the gym with a shooting coach and helping her get that jumper to be better. And again, also too, I think with her sister being there and also helping her along the way, I think that'll help as well. She is a two-way player. I think she that commands double teams. She has great strength, and her feet work are nothing you can't dismiss that. I do think she can keep a defense on their toes, whether it's she can shoot a spot up J, she can take you to the rim, or she can dish the ball out. I think those are things you got to take in consideration. And I think she also, too, she has that brick wall badge where you're setting screens, something like that. Those are things I think that are going to definitely help someone like an Enrique Gubawale or Marina Mabry or an Alicia Gray. That would definitely help shooters like that. That's just me. Now, with the next pick, where am I at? Now I'm at the 8th overall pick. This, I ain't gonna lie, this was tough. This was really tough. I stuck with the same person for 2 straight mock drafts. I do believe she does have the most potential, and she is the most WNBA ready player. With the 8th overall pick, the Minnesota Lynx select Sky Cone. Again, I think she's more of I don't want to say she would be a slashing forward. I would say a good, tenacious rebounder. She definitely did play. She's played alongside, I believe it was Kalia Copper, Katie Lou Samuelson, Michaela Oyeware, and some other players. I think over in the Spanish league, Spanish basketball league, if I remember correctly. I think also too, her defense I think is really good. I think also too, I think she'd be a good post player for Minnesota as well. But I think also too, defending in the post, I think that would benefit Minnesota's defense a lot. Now, the only thing is we don't really know where she's going to be at with her injury. So I do think her athleticism, that does have some question marks. Take that in consideration. And particularly, I feel like with international draft picks, there seems to be, in my opinion, there's this disconnect about how we, as playing defense or on the offensive side, about whether it's overcommitting, for example, is a good one. The type of decision making with the ball or off the ball, and then also too, like it's little things like that are a concern for me. But you got Cheryl Reeves there. You're going to have Sylvia Follows. You got Angela McCaultrey there, and also too Nafisa Collier, even though that she's going to be out and about probably the first good chunk of the season due to pregnancy. And she's supposed to be due any time now. I think it's either this month or next month she's due. So I think it's a good pick for Minnesota. Now, on to the West Coast. We are actually, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick 30-second break, and we'll be right back after these messages. All right, we are back. We're going to get to the 9th overall pick with the Los Angeles Sparks. They traded for Lexi Brown. Chicago got the rights. I forgot of the player. They got a player's rights. I forgot her name. Her name escapes me. I do apologize. So she's now on the West Coast. Congratulations, Lexi Brown. Wish you all the best with the Los Angeles Sparks. They don't need any more guards. So I looked and I said, who could the Los Angeles Sparks draft? And I said, with the 9th overall pick, Ray Burrell. I like Ray Burrell. I think she's I think is probably the most, in my opinion, underdog going into this draft. Now, let's keep it real. Tennessee, I know they didn't have a great season, and then she also got hurt. I understand that. But as a wing player, like let's keep it real, y'all. That Sweet 16 game against Louisville, she balled. That was probably the best game I saw her play. And then also too, let's keep it real. She could definitely help Ataya Cooper, Kennedy Carter, Lexi Brown. She could take pressure off those girls. I believe that. And she can fit in their system. Because, I'm looking at – I know she's more of a guard, but I think she can play the three if you play a card right. And also you got Jordan Canada. I strongly considered up until she was traded, I considered Victoria Burton to go to Los Angeles. But I feel like that was a reach. That was a reach to me. I did consider that. Now, with this next pick, we go back to Indiana, and I think this young lady is a good fit for the Indiana Fever. We faced her in the second round of March Madness, round 32, and with the 10th overall pick out of Florida Gulf Coast, the Indiana Fever select Miss Kirsten Bell. Let's keep it real. She's very physical. She can cut to the rim efficiently, very well. And also, too, she can shoot the three. And it has a good release. I definitely think that is going to be something Indiana is going to love. She also, too, as a combo forward, she can play the 3, 4, and maybe the 5. She can play some good defense. She can help you create turnovers, particularly on the weak side defense, and good rebounder. Now, the biggest issue I saw against Maryland, as watching again, trust your eyes, got to limit the turnovers and adjust to another role. Again, she did not take. They were really collectively. They did not. There were certain possessions for Florida Gulf Coast where they were not taking smart shots. You got to limit the turnovers, but you have to also to be smart with your decision making. That's something that I believe Coach Stanley and the coaching staff of the Indiana Fever are going to work on her. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, she doesn't really have a lot of proven body of work, but let's keep it real. Florida Gulf Coast, like we can't take anything away from them. They had a great year. Now, her on-ball defense may be an issue. I don't really see. I was reading an article on her where they were saying that she at times can be disengaged. I disagree with that. I don't see that. I just think that she has to be just moving on defense. I know that she kind of just tends to just be kind of a standstill defender. She has to move, be on her toes laterally. I think that's something I think Indiana will work on with her, to me. So I think that makes more sense for her than to take it. Now, I consider actually her going with the 6th overall pick, but I do think that Indiana could draft. You got a center, you got a 4, and you got a 3. Just saying. So right there, you rebuild, in my opinion. Now, with the 11th overall pick, we go to the city of Las Vegas. With the 11th overall pick, the Las Vegas Aces select Miss Emily Entingsler out of Louisville. I strongly considered Lorella Cabaja, but Emily had one heck of a run in March Madness. Now, I want to make this clear. Some people are going to say, well, are you taking into consideration how they all performed in March Madness? Yes and no, but also, too, I went back and looked. I said, okay, do you need this particular player? Now, I will say this. She can shoot the ball, okay? And Las Vegas, the way I see it, they might be a good jump shooting team this year. Asia Wilson, I can see her game being expanded to being a 3-point shooter. I think with Emily, I definitely think she can lead a fast break. I think they'll love that in Las Vegas. And I think also, too, communication, that's key. Creating turnovers. Also, too, like I said, and the March Madness run, she could shoot the ball. The only thing is, I I say her athleticism may be the issue, but I think that'll get better. I don't think there may be some teams that may not respect her. She may be a rotation piece to me. I don't think she could be a potential starter, but I do think that when you look at her coming in this draft, she doesn't truly stand out. And I think I think the Aces could just use another rotation piece. I think she'd be good coming off the bench and even starting a few games. I think that would be good for Las Vegas. But again, give it time. Her shooting will get better. Again, when you're transitioning from college to pro or high school to college to pro, your game is going to transition. It's going to get better. It just all depends on who you're working with and what you're doing as the player. So that's what I think the Las Vegas Aces will take. With the final pick, the 12th overall pick in the first round of the WNBA draft, the Connecticut Sun select Veronica Burton out of Northwestern. Now, I know what you're going to say. Nathan, they're very guard-heavy oriented in Connecticut. Why are you drafting another guard? No disrespect, but the biggest thing, I feel like, again, when I needed to look for them last year in the playoffs, the biggest thing is they had their backcourt weren't making shots. Not taking anything away from Courtney Williams. I think the signing was a good signing. Not Courtney. I'm just saying it was. Why did she leave in the first place? You know what I mean? And also, too, I got to think about it. Like, you could have a rotate. Somebody unfortunately is going to have to go. I don't think you can keep all those guards in Connecticut, but you do need you do need a shooter in that backcourt, because other than Jasmine Thomas, Brianna January left for Seattle. Your starting lineup could potentially be Courtney, Jasmine, Jonquel, Brianna Jones, and DeWanna Bonner. Then off your bench, Letitia Heidemann, Kalea Charles, Dejanay Carrington. Yeah, you're going to. That's going to be tough. You got to figure out how to get that rotation in there. But I'm just looking at it like this is somebody that I think can fit in their rotation. Because I know Jasmine. She's not getting. She's going to be also soon. She may decide to call it a career, whether it's next year or 3 years, doesn't matter. She's still an effective player. I would want a Jasmine Thomas on my team any day. But I do think for me, even though she's a pass-first point guard, I do think she can definitely keep defenses on their toes. I definitely think she could do a lot of work on the inside terrier. Also, too, she has a good feel for the game, whether it's on defense and creating turnovers. Now, the only thing is, I saw the highlights, the mechanics. I believe those will get better. She's not the overall greatest wing guard, but she will get it done for you. I think as you get into the draft, I think as the years progress, coming into this year, next year, they'll get better. But I do think that her shooting could be better. But I do think she could fit Connecticut to me. Now, I also really quick considered Christina Williams, Destiny Henderson. I got a new one. I got a surprise for you. Jasmine Dickey. I considered her. Lorella Kabaja. Lexi Hall. I considered her there. But I see them all as second-round picks. Now, there was one I will say that kind of threw me off, and I was kind of like, I don't need a center. I was like, I'm just going to keep it real. This is going to be an interesting draft because you've got well over 100 prospects, and you only have 36 picks, 3 rounds. So, unfortunately, this is definitely going to be a tough draft. When I saw the amount of prospects, I'm like, oh my gosh. I agree, we do have to expand, but you can't. Unfortunately, man, I don't know. But this is my mock draft. This is who I think the top 12 picks are going to be in the first round for the WNBA draft on Monday. I do believe that there will be a trade. Guaranteed. I don't know who will trade, but I feel like Coach T is comfortable with his pick. Remember, we did kind of see something like this with the Mystics and the Dream today, with the Seattle Storm. They had a number 1 overall pick, and they traded it for I think it was New York, and they traded for Natasha Howard. So we could have good implications like that for the for the Mystics. So y'all let me know your thoughts. Who you're looking forward to being drafted by your teams, by your team for the WNBA draft on Monday. I am excited. I'm ready for it. I cannot wait. Congratulations to all the women that did declare for the draft. I wish you all the best, and you're now in a new chapter in your journey. All your hard work has paid off. This is just the beginning. This is the road to greatness. And with that being said, I want to end this off with a closing message. Ladies and gentlemen, do not be afraid to take chances on yourself. When one door closes, another one will always be open for you. You got to have that mind. We have to start developing that kind of mindset, because if we have the door behind us closed and we're sitting and we just, in that moment, we may be upset, but in the long term, but we have to shake it off. Like when you're playing baseball, you're at the free throw line, you missed that free throw. Basketball, that's a good example. When you're at the free throw line in basketball, you missed that free throw. You got to shake it off. You got to have the mind of a goldfish. I've learned that you have to not be afraid to take chances. You also do not be afraid to be vulnerable in saying, this is who I am. This is what I can bring to the table. If people can't respect that, like I said, another door will open where someone can go, we'll work with you. This is what we can do for you. And I just wanted to give you that. Never be afraid to take chances on yourself, bet on yourself. And more importantly, you've got this. If no one's told you that, I'm telling you that. You've got that. And remember, keep your eyes on the prize, because good things will happen.
Guaranteed.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to end this mock draft. Be tuned in for the next 2 episodes that will be up shortly. The Baltimore Orioles expectations and the Washington Nationals expectations, and that will end Season 6 of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. But until then, this is Nathan signing off. Peace. Stay up, y'all.
Listen, I'm easy to find. And listen, they can kiss my ass if they don't like it.